Yeah.
Hello, everyone, to the newest episode of Tangent Podcast. Hey, sorry about last time where we didn't start with a welcome to Tangent Podcast. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but hey, at least you started with some funky music, and you will probably be this time as well. Well, actually, I don't know who's editing. The music might be funky, or it might be like techno-ish. If he's editing, I don't know.
Is that my style?
Yeah, I don't know how to describe your music style. Mine's just all over the place. Like last episode where you probably had like whiplash going from like the Pillar Man theme back to like Stardew Valley music within seconds of each other.
Pretty much. I mean, I was like, you know, there were some creative choices in your editing. And I gotta say,
I had fun.
Yeah, like I'm glad I let you, I didn't try to pressure you at all to like, we need to have it out at this time, because I had an actual fun time listening to this. I had to go back after, like, usually whenever I review your stuff, I'm like, let me just go through it at 200 double speed. But afterwards, I actually had to listen back, and it was such a pretty good time. I'm still not used to hearing my own voice, but it was
I mean, you get used to it kind of while you're editing, but you just kind of like pretend it's somebody else.
Yeah,
because I mean, it sounds so different from how you perceive your own voice. Like listening back, it's like, man, this is weird.
Yeah. I'm not too sure. Sometimes I'll listen to my voice and feel like, damn, do I sound like I'm still in not even high school. I feel like I'm in middle school when I listen to my voice sometimes.
I mean,
not as bad.
To me, you don't. But like, I guess because you're hearing my voice and I'm hearing yours, like my voice, like to me, sounds deeper than it actually does.
Yeah,
well, your voice to you probably sounds the same.
I think I sound a little bit deeper than I actually do. I think I do, but when I listen to myself, I realize, oh, my voice is actually kind of not so much high pitch, but mid range.
I think most people's voices are around there. At least most guys.
Pretty much. I was expecting to be a baritone, but alas, I'm just an alto sax.
I never figured out what those were, even though I took like a music history class and it was on my exam. After I learned them for said exam, I just dropped that information right out of my brain because I'm not a music major.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember, what was the top one? Sopranos,
like soprano, alto, bass, tenor.
No, baritone. Yeah,
baritone,
and then tenor.
Isn't there like tenor sax?
Tenor's the lowest, I think.
Yeah, is that an instrument? I think a tenor sax is like a saxophone.
No, it's a sax, but tenor is a type of like range.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about a lot of stuff today. We actually wrote it all down. So, I don't know what you want to talk about first. Which of these do you want to talk about first? Actually, I'm choosing this time. Let's talk about the terrible hurricane that was Dorian.
Wow, guys.
Hurricane Dorian was such a bad thing that we lost a few palm fronds. It was thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Thousands.
If you couldn't tell, that was sarcasm. And if you couldn't, then okay, boomer. I love the like okay boomer meme so much. It's just very funny to me, and I don't know why.
I like the fact that boomer has now expanded to just anyone above 30, or not even 30, just anyone.
It's just anyone older than me.
Pretty much.
Like my brother, who's like 5 years younger than me, will come and be like, "Okay, boomer." And I'm like, I'm like the same generation as you. And he's like, "Yeah, but you're older than me." I'm like, fair enough. Okay, Zoomer. And that just means anyone lower age than me.
This is America's senpai and kohai.
Huh? Yeah, you filthy weeb. Who needs all those when you call people boomers?
Look at those Zoomers. Listen to Lil Yachty, while us boomer intellectuals are listening to the finest music while drinking our not Mountain Dew, Monster Energy White. Oh god.
Boomer juice, you mean?
You're right, boomer juice. Mm-hmm. But
anyways, Dorian.
Yeah, Dorian. You know what? The thing that pissed me off about Dorian is not even so much the storm. It was just more of like everyone was so hyped about it. No one knew where it was going, and I had to take a week off of work legally because they couldn't have a school open. So I lost not only class time, but I also lost my paycheck to a hurricane. And it's not even like a good vacation where you can say like, oh well, it's a vacation time for me to have fun and leave. I couldn't leave because it's like my family was in Jacksonville, so it's like, oh wow, I'm gonna go to like the more likely place it's gonna hit. So it's kind of like,
yeah.
I couldn't even like enjoy it. I was just stuck in Orlando, which the only thing we had was just wind and a little bit of rain.
We had a good amount of rain and some wind, but that was about it.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I saw Florida. Jacksonville was. I was kind of for a moment thinking it might like hit the coast of Jacksonville. But you know,
well, that's what everyone in Jax thought. I was going to get gas. I think it was like the Tuesday before, like a few days before it was supposed to get landfall, and it was packed like this. There was gas stations out of gas everywhere.
Yeah,
the grocery stores were emptying, and I'm like, guys, it's probably not even gonna hit us. And then everyone is still just freaking out. Like, even my parents were freaking out and stuff. And I just
I mean, you saw what happened to the Bahamas, though? That
sucks ground. But it didn't even hit us.
It didn't hit us. Okay, in all fairness, in retrospect, looking back with everyone's fears, it makes sense why everyone felt this. I mean, when we saw what happened to the Bahamas, we kind of thought, like, we might not get the whole thing, but if anything close to that is what we get, then everyone wanted to bounce. Because that place
it was such a wild, like, spaghetti chart of where it could have gone that I thought worrying about it until it, like, solidified was way too much.
Yeah, like, I was so, like, considering, like, is it going to go across Florida? Is it going to go around Florida? It's like, bullshit, it's going to go around Florida, my ass.
Yeah, it won't do that. It's probably going to do the same thing it always does and just curve up towards the Carolinas and hit them.
That's what I was assuming, but I didn't think it would just not even touch, Jacksonville. But, Jacksonville has this weird thing where it's like, it should be hit by a hurricane literally every time.
It's because of the like special indent right where we are.
Yeah.
To where the currents just avoid us. So we're in like this special cove or something like that.
Jacksonville has a Konami code. That's why I can get away from hurricanes.
We have God's protection.
God's protection, that's why.
But I actually got a week off because my university just canceled classes through Thursday and I don't have classes on Friday.
Yeah,
so, I didn't get a summer break, but I got that week off, and it was nice.
Yeah, I didn't. I had the same thing too. It was nice because I also get my Fridays off from work and class. So from that Friday before to the Monday after the storm, that was my whole week vacation. But it was kind of just weak. Honestly, the thing I got to do though was learn how to cook more because the electricity didn't go out. I learned how to make fried chicken with Japanese style.
But I say, yeah, fried chicken's not terribly hard to make, but if you're making another style, of course.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and also
the hardest part is honestly the breading. At least for me.
No, the only thing I did was my style. Quick tangent. Yjang's Cooking Corner. Hey everyone, this is a quick, simple way for you to make fried chicken. First off, your only thing you're gonna need is
go to Publix and buy it.
You only need 4. Yeah, you can go to Publix and buy it, or if you want to be healthy and have your own ingredients, you only need 4 ingredients. You're going to need boneless chicken, you're going to need eggs, and you're going to need flour and
probably salt
and also breading, which is you can get at the Dollar Tree. I prefer panko breading from the Dollar Tree because it's cheap. And
or you can make your own, like I did.
Oh, that's true.
It takes longer, but it's usually more tasty.
Yeah, that's the point. But the simple way is you just get your chicken, roll it in the flour, then roll it into some whisked eggs, and then you roll that into the breading, and then you toss it into the skillet with a pan of oil. There you go. We have fried chicken. And you know what I've been doing ever since I learned this?
Or you'll get salmonella.
Oh yeah, I should cook it. Well, here's the thing. I've marinated the chicken in the refrigerator, so it was really nice. But I had boneless, so it was just really thin, and I made it basically to chicken nuggets. So I just been eating chicken nuggets for the past couple of days. In my
would you just make one like big batch and just didn't eat all of it?
I mean, throughout the day, yeah. So I would just I make one big batch for the day and I just eat all of it. So it'd be like 1 chicken per day. 1 chicken breast per day.
I make meals for 4, so we go through food quite liberally, so we don't really have leftovers usually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was really good. And on top of that, I got to learn steaming chicken and learning to steam other things. Overall,
if I had to recommend things to cook, I would look into getting yourself any kind of cookbook and just learning how to cook different things. Like, for example, I got a wok and I got a cookbook with it, and I just learned how to cook almost everything in there, and it was really nice. I found some recipes I enjoyed. One of my favorites is Dan Dan noodles, which is like this Chinese street food. Mm-hmm. It's essentially like egg noodles with some chili oil, soy sauce, mirin, chicken broth, water. But then the interesting things is scallions, cut up peanuts, peanut butter, and peppercorns.
Yeah, that sounds like some kind of Chinese food. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The peanut butter really gives it this like thick, just really. It's not mushy, but it's still just really. It's good. Is what I'm saying. It's good.
Viscous kind of feel.
Yeah.
Also, actually, one thing about Dorian, I was kind of expecting for my power to go off. It didn't, but during this time, I got 2 things. I got a boxing clip. I mean, I got a clip so I can like just hold things together, and I got myself a solar powered battery power bank. So I got this on the Monday after Dorian. This really nice power bank from, I'm going to name the Chinese one Xiaoxi Wave. It's amazing. But I needed it during the hurricane, but Amazon was like, no, we're not going to send our precious fleet of people, during a mild...
There's some mild rain.
That's really dangerous. We might get in trouble legally. But you know what? Fair for them. Gotta protect your assets. But I, now that I have it, I just don't know what to do with it. I'm going to keep it, obviously, because this is basically unlimited power anywhere I go in Florida. Mm-hmm, yeah. As long as it's daytime, I just need to whip this out of my backpack, and it's like, I have the power. Mm-hmm. So, I also bought other things like a clip during the hurricane because I was just shopping off Amazon, really. And the reason I talk about this clip a lot is because at my school, you know how there was like a boxing bag at my gym on campus? I think I mentioned this in the podcast before.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
But next to it, there's a speed bag station where you just need to clip on a speed bag. For the longest, they didn't have anything that you can clip onto, so I bought a clip. So that way, anyone that brings their own speed bag can now do so. And it's been great because since I'm the first one to market with this, because I brought the innovative solution of just buying a clip and putting it on there, I have total monopoly over that place because no one else has thought about this.
What, do you charge them?
No, I don't. It's free to use. It's in the commons. But the thing is, because I'm the only one that uses it, I'm the only one that's brought their own speed bag. So the only people that can know about this are people who saw me use it, care to buy it off of Amazon, and then bring it to the gym during a time that I'm also wanting to use it, which is so small that I'm not expecting to see anyone for at least a couple weeks before anyone catches on. So right now I have just total monopoly using it, and everyone just sees me going at it. So it's great. It's perfect.
It's definitely something.
I get to see like hundreds of people watch me, have fun with it.
Just circle around you. Yeah.
Not circle around me, but there's like people in the up on like the second floor, people around me on the bench that are looking at me like, why is he the only one using this? Because no one else can use it. It's my property. Yeah. I would charge them to use my bag though for like, $5 a round.
Yeah, except your school hates capitalism.
Not this school. I don't know of. I mean, it's my private property, so
it's called a joke.
It's called a joke. I remember. I already talked about in the past how my school. Actually, my school is actually pretty entrepreneurial, but the one in my past, they didn't like capitalism when I tried to sell comics.
The school I'm at least the area I'm in, because I'm at the School of Business over here at UNF, I'm sure they'd be okay with people selling things as long as it wasn't illegal.
They actually, you know what's terrible at my school? They definitely allow people to come up to you. Like, petitions during like politics and activism? Mm-hmm. like all of the causes are good. Like we want to have more solar panels be available to consumers in Florida. I'm like, well, that's nice. And we want to have the minimum wage raised. I'm like, okay, well, that's controversial, but I understand your plight.
I would probably agree with that, but yeah, it's
understandable. I understand your plight in like your market, like coming to college students. Yeah. But then the thing that pisses me off is that when I go into like buildings, they're also in there now. So it's like I'm trying to get to my class, and then one of them's like, "Hey, man, would you like to sign off on this position for solar panels?" Okay.
It's like I'm gonna be late in 3 minutes. Move.
Like I'm trying to get to my job. Damn it.
Yeah.
So there's that. But to close off on Dorian and all of this,
it sucked. But hey,
I'm happy nothing happened bad. You know, RIP to Bahamas. Donate to them if you get the chance.
I saw a thing of a guy in Florida bought like 100 generators for like $2,000 and sent them over to the Bahamas apparently.
See, I want to have that kind of ability with my money, where I'm comfortable right now. I'm just gonna spend $2,000 to just give it to Bahamian people. That's the dream.
Bahamian? Is that
Bahamians? Yeah, Bahamian.
I thought it was Bahamian.
I guess that's one way to do it. I'm using the short A version of A.
Yeah, I'm using the long A because that's how you say like Bahamas, not Bahamas. Bahamas sounds wrong. Anyways, next topic.
Welcome to Bahamas.
Yeah, welcome to the Bahamas Residence Tangent Podcast. Do you want to talk about... Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about police corruption or your conference?
So, about... during this conference beforehand... Okay. Actually, no, directly after Dorian, my conference for... It's called MASS, the Multicultural Academic Students Support Services. They were there to have this conference, whether Dorian was going to be bad or not, on Friday, when the ban was going to be lifted for the school. So basically, the first day I got back on campus, I had to rush over to that, and it was good. I got to stay at a 4-star hotel at the Rosen, and they had really comfy. They had a comfy bed, man. Oh man, like I want that bed in my room. It was queen size, and beautiful. Had a good view, and they gave me free food, free catering.
It's always a plus.
And buffet, and also we got to go to Dave & Buster's and go kart racing, which I did some speed racer drifting for a while, and like it felt great to be go-karting because I was trying to gain up on people, but I didn't learn until the very end that they weren't going by who can overtake another person in place. It was just purely speed. So whoever laps the fastest. So I got second place because of that. But I was basically overturning everyone and nearly crashing like half the time. Just barely. Which I love. It was like I could die or at least get very hurt.
It's that feeling of being on the edge where like the adrenaline kicks in. It's such a great feeling.
But at the same time, I was almost pedaling. So it was like, could have spun out, but nope. Not for me.
Me and my brother go to a go-kart place near here. What's it called? And it's always fun because I drive very, very aggressively. Like, I will screech along corners to try to get the most traction out of them. I'll run up behind people and slam into them to try to make them spin out so I can go past them.
Okay,
listen, the organizers don't like me. But I win. Okay. I do what I need to win.
Jesus.
I've only wrecked like twice.
Oh God, man.
I wouldn't have broken a cart or two.
Damn. Okay, look. When I was riding, I never tried to hit anyone because I
intentionally hit people.
But my ideology is if I hit them, I'm going to lose speed.
No, if you hit them, they'll get out of your way so you can accelerate faster.
But I feel like I'm going to lose initial speed and momentum. That's why.
Well, yeah,
so you should just go around them.
Well, what if you're both like hugging corners and they won't get out of the way? There's no other way but to hit them.
If they hug corners, I go around them and just hit the accelerator as fast as possible.
Well, I had my foot to the metal. The go-karts wouldn't go past like 25.
Right.
So I couldn't go any faster, and I was behind them. So the best I could do was try to get right behind them and just mash them out of my way.
I guess that's the only way to do it. But I'll admit, you were taking... There was no other option.
Like, if I wanted to win, which you don't even get any for winning. They don't even say who the winner is. I just wanted to feel like I was winning. It's just that competitive spirit within me, I guess.
You know what, Jeff? That's all that matters. The feeling that you did your best. And
I had
you crushed
fun.
Other one. Yeah.
I got to walk over other people and say, "You're pathetic. I beat you."
I put my life on the line to get this gold.
Yeah, it's good.
That's the best feeling.
But you're talking about your conference.
Yeah. So the conference was good. We got to hear from a lot of speakers. One of them I met before, and others that were pretty interesting. But I think for my case, since this is my second year coming into it, I didn't get as much out of it as my first year. I think it's definitely tailored for people in their first year of college, but the perks and the luxuries for coming there for only $25, like 4-star hotel, was nothing I was going to pass up on. So, yeah. But there was one thing that was interesting, which, oh man, I'm going to criticize the guy's speech, even though he's a great person. But two things happened. Excuse me. So, one, my president of my university came to the conference, which is the first time they've ever done that in their history. And when the president of your university comes in, everyone's supposed to be on their best behavior, looking really nice and sharp. So that was that. But the reason that guy came was not because he wanted to see us, really. Well, maybe that was that. But they wanted to come see, like, the civil rights hero, which I'm going to try to check him out now, because I forgot his name. And the reason why I did is because, I'll admit, I think I didn't like about his speech is that he was basically listing off statistics.
Yeah, the speeches like that can always be a bit disinteresting. Like, I think a good speech has a mix of that, but also, like, you know, stories or personal anecdotes that try to spice things up as well. You know, it's a mixture of storytelling and fact-telling, I think, is what makes a good speech. Depending on your subject, of course.
Yeah.
If you're giving a speech to a science committee, you probably just want to go with the straight-up numbers. But if you're giving a speech about a cause or something, you know, you probably want to include not just numbers, otherwise it'll bore people.
Right. I'm trying to find it because it's so hard to find this guy. Ali. I'm not gonna... If I can't find him in the next, like, couple of seconds, I'm just gonna give up.
And you'll probably edit in his name or, like, later. You'll just say it.
Yeah. The guy's name is... So, when he came to our school, it was pretty interesting because I didn't know about this guy at all, which I guess should be kind of bad because, like, oh, wow, we have the civil rights hero. Who is he? But I think what was interesting about him is that he was talking a lot about the statistics about, you know, child abuse, racism, police brutality, and all kinds of things that happen. But also he talks about how sports has been, like, a really big thing. Like, you know, he was one of the people who was there advising, well, not advising Colin Kaepernick, but one of the people that were involved in the situation about what to do. And he's been in this situation before, using sports as a way of protest and also for civil rights change, but mostly for sports itself. And the reason I was kind of interested about it is because beyond the name recognition, the guy put his life on the line a lot of times for what he said. Like, one time he said, you know, he tried to go out and end a lot of the discrimination for people in basketball and this also in the city for you know, discrimination between black people and white people during the civil rights era. And one night, even though he was a professor at his university, when the guards were supposed to be, you know, going around making their rounds, two people came up to his office while he was in the middle of the night, grabbed him, got a big ass knife, and carved the N-word onto his stomach as he was, like, bleeding out. And it was only until a couple, like, 15 minutes when someone caught him up that they brought him to the hospital. And I remember him saying, like, three of the nurses who were, like, black came up when he was, like, kind of conscious, but he didn't really could be there fully. They were, like, kind of crying, saying, I didn't know, like, they would care for people like us. And I thought that was really powerful because the guy, when I heard that story, that was when I was like, whoa, he really means what he says. He didn't show the tattoo because obviously there's a sensitive, I mean, not tattoo, he didn't show his battle scars because that was a really sensitive topic for him. But he did show a video of how he did detail it in an interview, which I'll admit, it's still there to this day, and he will never take it off because, you know, I remember him saying, this is only a fraction of what I can imagine is like being the people that I try to help. So it's the least I can do to keep it there as a memento. So I thought that was great, and I think having those kind of speakers were really impactful because the thing is, they were trying to get this guy to speak at our conference for like 3 years. So
why did it take so long?
He's internationally proclaimed across the EU, the Americas, and Africa because he's a personal friend of Nelson Mandela and was there during his advising and also during his final years before he died. So really tough guy to get across with. Busy guy. I mean, when you have that kind of history, you kind of have people wanting to, you know, pick your Can I pick your brain? It's like, but
what I'm interested in is how didn't he die? I mean, if they plunged the knife in pretty deep to cause scar tissue, wouldn't that have ruptured organs?
No, they didn't go that hard. They were trying to not kill him. They were trying to just make a statement on him and scare him.
Okay.
So they got enough where it would bleed him, not bleed him out, but definitely like injure him and take him out for months. But the thing is, he was struggling too. So it didn't make it easy for him to, like, you know, it wasn't like a stab. They were trying. The main thing they just wanted to do is carve the N-word onto his stomach, so he will live with that forever.
Yeah.
So that was something. I will put a link into the show notes about it because that was probably one of the most interesting talks I had, and I will probably won't forget it.
Sounds like a talk I heard a few years ago. Back, I think it was senior year of high school. I don't know if you went to it, but a Holocaust survivor came to our high school, and he spoke there for about an hour and a half. It was after school,
right?
But his story was really really something, man. It's too long to like account here, but he went to like a bunch of different camps, and he was just a kid at the time and stuff. And it was a long story, but it was very, very touching. And, you know, stories like that from survivors of those things or people who were around at that time, you know, we're still young, you know, we weren't around for that sort of stuff. And hearing from the people who were, I think, really makes you try to understand the past more and what actually happened back then. Because, you know, to people our age, something even 20 years ago could seem like, you know, a distant thing. Like, think 9/11. Like, it's hard to think about what that actually was to us because we weren't around for it. I mean, yeah, we were alive, but we were just...
Well, we had, like... Yeah, we're like 7 or 8 when we can actually kind of remember.
If we could actually remember what it was, it'd be way different. But, like, things like World War II, the Holocaust, the Civil Rights Movement, those are all things that are very hard for us to imagine. Yeah, we read about textbooks, or we can imagine what it's like. But hearing people who are actually there really helps out. So I think it's important to hear from people like him and others about past events before they're forgotten.
Right, and like when I was listening to Richard Lapchick's, you know, talk, it was kind of like, you know, I think it's more of like you use these kinds of testimonies and people as a reminder that this doesn't happen long ago. It's very much recent.
Very recent.
So whenever you like see Holocaust survivors, like in person, not just like, you know, in video, because in video it feels kind of like distant. But when you actually see a person like in person, you actually get the sense of the gravity of how wide scale and how massive this, like, an event takes part of people's lives and shapes. And it also shows how much progress it is between, like, person born 80 years ago compared to me.
Yeah, so, like 50, 60 years ago, it would have been odd for us to even be friends. You know, we would have been seen as different classes of people, which is just so, like, odd to me. Like, I don't think as you as a different kind of person. You're just, you know, a human like me. You're my, like, one of my best friends. I don't see you as a different type of person, but if I go talk to, like, my great-grandparents, or even my grandparents possibly, they might have different opinions about that because, you know, they were born and raised in the South during that time.
Right. So it was really interesting. So, speaking of this kind of talk, let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted.
Hopefully.
Police corruption, brutality.
I chose this topic, by the way. We got to choose a few topics before it started, and I want to talk about this because I've been looking into it a bit more recently, and it's just something I felt like talking about, you know. So I don't know if this is a problem unique to the U.S. it might happen other places, but I haven't really looked. I've mostly been seeing it as a thing in the U.S. because I've seen stories from here. But like, the rampant amount of stuff the police can do and just get away with it is shocking to me. Like, there was a story. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I know. Also during this time, like, it was kind of surprising you brought this up because there was like an episode of Patriarch from a guy named Hassan Minhaj.
Okay, here I found it.
But yeah, it was basically around the lines of how the policing system in America is uniquely broken. Yeah,
I saw this first. I saw this story on Reddit.
Oh, is this the former NYPD officer? Whoa, this is new. I haven't seen this.
No, it's not former, I believe.
Oh, not?
No, he was not charged. So essentially, the story is this NYPD detective. He resigned. Okay. But he was found not guilty. He raped a teenager in New York State. Nothing was consensual there. I think it was even after a traffic stop, if I remember correctly. And it was actually two of them participated, and they went before the court, and the judge there, he said that they were not guilty because, if I remember correctly, the woman who was raped forgot what she was wearing that day. Like, how long her dress was the exact terminology. Like, really? So how long was your dress? She's like, I think it was short. And then they got video footage, and it was knee length instead of short. So the prosecution said, "Oh, her testimony is flawed. Throw it out."
What?
And the judge went, "Okay," and they threw out all of her testimony, and therefore had no evidence to convict. Well, not enough, I should say, because there was evidence on her body, like their fluids, video footage, bruises, among other things. But they're found not guilty, and they just resigned, and now they're going to get full benefits. Back pay and everything. So, hey, if you're a cop in America, you can just rape a teenage girl and get away with it. You'll even get paid.
Actually, you know why? This is actually great because I did also watch a video about this. The reason they can get away with this is because I think you'll be interested about this one, Jeff. Oh. Did you know that police have unions?
Mm-hmm. And they're shitty.
Yeah. And did you know that unions in some of these places have something called the Police Bill of Rights, where essentially, basically the Police Bill of Rights basically means that the police can act in ways that are a completely different set of rules than like normal people.
Than a normal citizen.
Basically, you cannot charge them with a crime that they commit unless it's a crime that a previous police officer was charged and convicted of in the past. So to make that explain, if I or you were to rape a woman, then we would obviously go to jail.
Of course.
But if a police officer in the past was not convicted of raping a woman, then the police officer that is trying to get convicted now can say, well, there's no way that's against my law because there's nothing that says in my rule book that is against for me to rape women. And the best way for you to get away with this is because if it's something that's highly specific, like, well, there's never been something in the law where if I rape a woman that's wearing a red knee-length dress is illegal. Therefore, I should go out. And technically, by their rule books, how they charge cops, they actually can get away with it by that logic. And on top of that, just before I close out like this part, they also get 24 hours to review any evidence or testimony before they get to make a statement.
Mm-hmm. Like I remember I saw a story of it was at this department store, I think in like Georgia or South Carolina, around there. There was this disabled man, like mentally disabled. I think he had autism or some sort of learning deficiency. I don't remember what. But if it was autism, it was like pretty bad. He was living with his parents, and he's like, I think 20 something, and his parents are older. And they were at, I think, a Macy's, and he walks up behind this police officer, and if it depends on the account, the parents or the police officers, but from what I could tell, he essentially walked up to the police officer and like puts a hand on him, like his shoulder or maybe his face, and is trying to ask him something, and the police officer freaks out, punches the guy in the face, and then shoots him twice and kills him. And this cop is off duty, mind you. He's just wearing normal clothes. And the cop then gets to go back the next day and look over the video footage after he had already given testimony, and the testimony he gave the next day after looking at the footage was completely different.
Yeah, and guess what? We as citizens can't get that same luxury. It's illegal for us, but they get to. It's like, the best way I describe it is if you're able to see the footage of a gameplay before the refs can show it to the public. So if not everyone can see it, then how is that fair? And on top of that, the police system is different because they get only 8 hours of de-escalation training, which that doesn't sound a lot, but let me just put into even more. 8 hours of de-escalation training is compared to at least 129 hours of defense training, which is basically shoot first, ask later. And they go to like seminars to teach them like, hey, look, the person you see is a threat. Basically, they're taught to any person that comes up to them is likely a threat. Not like a citizen, just this person is going to kill you. So it's better for you to shoot first, ask questions later, and then deal with the consequences.
That's absolutely terrible. Like,
yeah.
Why isn't it the other way around? 8 hours defense training? I don't believe is enough.
No, not 8 hours de-escalation.
Yeah, I know, but like, I was saying if you switch them. But
it would be better if it was like...
should first be peace officers. They shouldn't be people like... I got pulled over like 2 weeks ago. I was honestly a little nervous. She was going to pull out her gun and shoot me for some reason. Maybe because I looked twitchy because I was nervous.
Guys, like, he might be cocaine. She kill him.
Yeah, and because like I have long hair, I've got this beard, I could look like a druggy type, you know. She might think I'm on something. And like I was honestly scared because I knew that she could shoot me and get away with it. Because I don't have a dash cam, she doesn't have a body cam, and the only witness would be my brother, who, you know, is young, so they probably wouldn't believe him in court. And even then, police could just go with qualified immunity or whatever and just get out of it.
Yeah. Pretty much qualified immunity basis, like, well, I mean, you know, how is she supposed to know that he wasn't a druggie? So she gets to go free. So it was because of these kind of things that makes me feel like really I have a lot of sympathy when I hear about these stories, because it just makes me think, like, when I was listening to like the whole, like, you know, Blue Lives Matter thing, I was kind of like, I was sketched. But the more I even learned about the rights that police had, I was kind of like really worried, because it's like you get the ability to do whatever you want and kill anyone you want, and yet you feel threatened when I'm trying to ask for testimony or for like witnesses. It's got to the point where it's so ridiculous that I'm like, a lot of the times when I look at America, there's a lot of times I honestly considered, would it be better for me to like be in another country where this kind of stuff doesn't exist?
I mean, other countries have their own problems, of course.
But it wouldn't be to the point where it's like these kind of basic issues. Like, my biggest thing is not so much like, oh, do I have to deal with like political issues and bullshit? Yeah, that'd be better than having to deal with, oh, if a copper asks you to step aside, you're like probably gonna die today. That's the biggest thing I think of. It's like, if a police officer pulled me over, I'm like, well, I had a good life.
Make your peace now, because anything could happen.
Pretty much. It's like,
and nothing would happen to them.
Pretty much.
Especially for you, because your skin's darker than mine. They could definitely get away with anything towards you.
Pretty much. So that's why I'm like, in my case, I'm more on the edge of like, you know, maybe I should just leave. But there's also the other part of me that says, if you leave, then that means they win.
Yeah, there's one less person to, you know, say it's wrong. You know,
pretty much.
You'll have just the thin blue stripe people.
Pretty much.
It is. You know,
but it gets me kind of scared.
I never got that. Like, even when I was, you know, younger and I didn't think about this sort of stuff, like Blue Lives Matter and thin blue stripe, I'm like, you have guns at all times. the people you're usually killing are unarmed. Like, that's a whole different world.
Yeah, it's basically like it's like Gestapo shit, to be honest, when I think about it. It feels a lot more like the Gestapo.
I don't want to jump straight to Nazi comparisons like that.
Fair enough. That's a bit of a jump.
That could disqualify your point.
You have a good point there. I'm gonna just cut it off there. I'll cut it off.
Well, but don't cut it out. It's part of what you said.
Fair enough. But it does feel like there's a definite.
Say it.
I think what I'm trying to say is like there's such an imbalance of power that it's so game breaking, and it's so like it doesn't make any sense logically. There's no way it makes sense logically than other giving people power and status. Which I like to just say that I'm not a fan of status games. When I look back in my life, I don't really care too much about the status. I mean, to a certain extent, sure, everyone does. But if I had to choose between like being the most famous person in the world versus being like wealthy, I would take wealth any day than having to be, than not having to have status and be known. Because it's like this kind of stuff is like, it's a zero-sum game. If in order for you to grow, someone else has to suffer. So for police's sake, they have to be on top at the expense of literally anyone that comes across them that they don't like.
Like, one thing I do want to talk about is I think the like fetishization almost of police and soldiers in the U.S. is really weird.
Yeah, it's like I don't know why. It feels kind of like a dominatrix thing for some people. Like I love men in uniform. That when I heard that phrase, it's like, huh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but hey, everyone's got their thing, right?
That's their own thing. But it is kind of like what you're saying. It's a bit of a fetishization. Like, oh, look at them, the good men serving out and patrolling these streets.
Yeah, it's like never thank them for their service. It's like
they're like superheroes.
Yeah. It's like. And soldiers will wear their like, you know, camo stuff around town just to go to a Chick-fil-A just to feel high and mighty. Or like, you know, some people, like especially, hey, mom and dad, if they're listening to this, they'll probably be mad at me for, you know, criticizing cops at all. Because like, oh, the police are good folks, they protect us. And I'm like, sometimes when they feel like it. But like, it's such like a mentality that a lot of Americans have. Where it's like, you can't criticize police, you can't criticize soldiers, and you can't criticize, I don't know, Christianity. Those are the three things you can't touch.
You can't touch God, you can't touch the soldiers.
Because they're all on the same level.
And you can't touch capitalism, those three.
Well, that one's a bit more iffy nowadays, at least with some people.
You know, you have a point there. But still, I know what you're talking about. It just feels kind of like these kinds of rules are ridiculous. And it's too harmful. Hopefully people like you and I can change the world when these old people die out, the boomers. We can be the new boomers.
One day we will all become boomers.
And then we can be the ones who change the world.
And then we can ruin the world for future generations. Just like they are now. We can make it even more of a hellscape. Yeah.
We'll make Skynet at the expense of saving the environment or politics.
And then our like grandkids will come along and they'll destroy Skynet, but it'll plunge the world into darkness because Skynet was running the artificial sun.
Oh, so no!
Their grandkids have to come along and like renew pagan worship to like bring like Apollo back to Earth, but the sun is too strong, so now it's global warming too, and they're blaming their great grandparents, the original boomers, for starting all this. In
the end, for all the boomers,
I'm a boomer, you're a boomer, everyone's a boomer on the inside. We all have the power to ruin the world around us, just like the boomers.
Or we can become bloomers. Those things too.
But people don't like doing that because people love feeding off negative emotions instead of trying to work hard to feel positive ones.
Yeah. Like what was the 4 ones? Zoomer, boomer, doomer, and then bloomer. You can be a bloomer zoomer and a bloomer boomer, but you can also be a doomer boomer and a doomer zoomer, right? Those are like axes, like youth, old, like the mentality of both.
Yeah, it's like youth, old, hope, and despair.
Yeah, it's the new compass.
Oh, definitely. Hey, editing Jeffrey, play Hope versus Despair from the Danganronpa soundtrack right now. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll definitely hate myself later for that because I usually try to choose songs in advance after listening, and I'll have already chosen one and put it in. Then I'll hear this and go, "God damn it, Jeffrey!" And I have to redo everything.
Yeah.
Anyways, as we just discussed, everyone's a boomer. So next topic.
Yeah. So
did we ever we talked about your conference. Do you want to talk about plans or like your YouTube channel?
Well, I'll talk about my plans for Wynter at the end.
Next few months. Okay.
At the end, I actually do want to talk about my YouTube channel and also the other thing about the speaker from Joe Rogan. I didn't mention before. If I didn't, there's this guy that I recently, one of my coworkers showed me this guy named Naval Ravikant from the Joe Rogan podcast. He was featured there, and when I saw his 2-hour talk, I'll admit I felt more like a libertarian at the end of it, but I definitely felt more like the right libertarian because he was basically like,
he's finally getting closer to a correct opinion.
No, I'm still on the left. Just still on the left, man.
I still straddle. I'm still like, I think I'm within the authoritarian right now. Not authoritarian. I mean libertarian right. Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm still close to the line between them. So I've just gotten more libertarian over the past few years. I also think I've drifted a little bit more left instead of such far right. I'm more like probably like edge of center right.
Edge of center right. Well, as long as you're on the libertarian axis. Yeah, near the center. So this guy.
Everyone hates centrists, but I think they probably have correct opinions.
But yeah, so this libertarian, I guess, guy. He's an Indian tech investor who
India from India. He means.
India from India.
Still don't get that.
Yeah, he's India from India. Named Naval Ravikant, and he grew up in a really tough neighborhood in New York, and eventually became an angel investor, to where he's making millions of dollars, and he doesn't really care about doing anything at this point. He's like, I have enough money to do whatever I want at this point. So
that is my dream. I want to get enough money in my life where I can just sit back and just go, I can do fucking anything I want.
Yeah, at this point, he just, right now, the only thing he does is invest into other companies that he likes. So that's the real life. But one of the things he does now that he can do whatever he wants is that he's kind of going into the status game. But he does it very long term, where he basically just put up a whole free course about how to become wealthy, and a tweet storm called How to Become Rich. But the reason why I can say it technically counts as like a status plus is because he didn't charge for anything. It's just completely free online. So that's why I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But I didn't know about this guy until Joe Rogan. And when I was listening to this guy, I gotta admit, he made me believe that anybody, and not just anybody, everybody can become wealthy. And that was a paradigm shift. Because, let me just say this. I, for the longest, thought like the whole world had to be a zero-sum game. Like, in order for us to survive as a species, people had to take from one another, because there's no way this is going to work out well for anybody. But by the end of it, I was pretty much set on saying that, hey, maybe we all could gain if everyone just tries to become a bit more, capitalist and also more egalitarian in some way. Because the reason why this matters to me so much is that when I was looking at his stuff, he was basically laying out a lot of principles that are pretty simple, which is learning that people gain wealth not by working at a job. They gain wealth when the amount of work that they do is not tied for the amount of dollars they make. So, like, for example, you're not really wealthy if you're a doctor, because the amount of wealth you make is not tied to it's tied to how many hours you put in at your job, albeit you have a high ceiling, but if you don't go to work, you don't get paid. Similarly, if you work as like a construction worker, or you go to work at like an office, and you punch in your card or whatever, then you only get paid for the amount of time you are there, like how it was for me during Dorian. So with that, I kind of realized that I need to be in a place where my efforts are not tied to the amount of wealth I make, which is why I wanted to try making a YouTube channel, and just to start this kind of process. And the reason I wanted to do a YouTube channel is because the reason I wanted to make a YouTube channel is because I see it as a conduit to where I can start making that kind of move where the amount of exposure or wealth I make is not tied to how much time I put into a video. And preferably also something I can use as a metric and way for people to like get inspiration from me and to get information about what it's like growing into college at my rate and how I got to where I am. Because I'll admit, it was hard getting here. But I think why I wanted to do this all is because media and technology, like if you work into media like art, video, YouTube, music, podcasting, the amount of time you put into your podcast is not tied to the amount of people that watch it, the amount of people that buy your products from it, so forth, because it compounds on your interests, like investing, which you probably already know through your economics classes.
Yeah.
And in technology, same thing. You can build one piece of software that sucks and no one looks at it, or you can build PayPal and everyone uses it to make their payments, or it's one among the many. So I feel like after watching his stuff that there's more that I can do to build wealth, but I have to think long term in order for it to work out. Because if you think long term, anybody can win. If you think short term, only you could win, and you have to beat everyone else down.
I mean, but eventually someone does have to lose.
Not quite, because, and I can explain it like this. But before I try to explain it, tell me what you mean by everyone has to lose, or one person.
I didn't say everyone, but like it. In any form of system, there always has to be someone on the bottom. There has to be someone who isn't at the top. If everyone's at the top, it's not the top. And especially in a capitalist system, someone has to be the leader at the top and someone has to be consumers at the bottom. The consumers can't be the leaders at the same time.
You're right. But wealthy is not a sense of being the leader. It's a sense of having the economic freedom to do other things than just being tied to your dollar. And that's the thing that matters. For example, my family growing up in Panama, wealth for them, my mom today is wealthier than my grandpa in the past in Panama. Just not because that she was at the top of somewhere else, so she had to kick someone off to get to where she is. She just moved to a place where she grew more wealth, and the world was able to do so because more jobs and opportunities opened up. Is there someone that makes more money above her? Sure, but it's not because of that she had to take out somebody in order to get that wealth or steal from somebody. It's that more opportunities grow from people being able to do more work. And a good way to explain this, how it works, is let's say the internet. Sure, I build the internet. Say I'm Tim Berners-Lee, and I build the World Wide Web by me creating an item, creation, bringing something out of nothing. I build a platform and opportunities, and I grow my wealth, and other people grow their wealth off of something that was not there before. So it's not like I'm taking anything from anyone. I'm building something which acts as a step for other people to build on top of and build their wealth, which is why you see so many people as YouTubers today and as people as esports gamers on Twitch and so forth, because what he created is a system that allows people to get more wealth. So, yes?
But some people don't want others to use their steps to create their own wealth. They want to use their steps just themselves. Think copyright and things like that. You know,
and that's
your system
that's the
sounds.
One thing.
Yeah, your system sounds, like basically free capitalism, which I have some disagreements with. I think that could lead to monopolies or oligopolies and corruption in general. But like, whoever is on top will try to actively suppress those coming in because it'll affect their own wealth generation. They might be wealthy themselves, but us as human beings, we want more of the shiny. We want more power because that's just how we're wired. So like somebody has to be the loser in the end. That's my main point against what you're saying right now. Is that it sounds very, it's very idealistic, which is good for a good thing. I try to be idealistic at times, but like. It's just my major contention is that I think there always has to be somebody on the bottom. But go ahead.
I think you have a good point there. He even makes that too, where I think the biggest constraint for this happening is monopolies and these systems that in crony capitalism that really ruins the whole free market thing. And I think this is the part where I'm like, oh shoot, that's the libertarian part of me that's like really coming out of here. This is why I'm of the motto: build incentives. Not so much regulations too much. But the thing is that monopolies and crony capitalism, and also just the cheating and the practical, rape on the public by bankers, how they like transfer money away from the people's wealth, is harmful and it ruins the system. But he does put the argument, like, if those factors were corrected today, anyone could be wealthy and it wouldn't be a zero-sum game. And the reason it's a zero-sum game is because people play by either two sets of rules. They either play by status, which is I need to be on top, everyone else has to be on the bottom and I'm number one, or you play for wealth, where an abundance mindset, where I need to be able to have a lot of money so I can be great and be able to take care of everything I need. If other people want to make money, sure, but what matters is I make enough money to be wealthy. And I think that's the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, because it's not so much about everyone can't be wealthy, or it's that the current system doesn't allow it to. It's just that I think the mentality and also how you go about things in life can't allow for you to have this kind of stuff, that you have this abundance mindset. Because if you pick things that scale that are not tied to your work and hours put in, you can basically do whatever you want, because if you focus on the things that society needs the most, like in capitalism it says the people that solve society's problems are rewarded because we owe them for their inventions or their works, then we're all better off. So by that logic, yeah, if monopolies ruin everything, that's why IP law is something else, because it's a government constructed monopoly. And even oligopolies ruin this shit, like AT&T and Verizon. But having real market capitalism, and furthermore, just companies playing by an abundance mindset instead of a status mindset, is probably the way to go. And if you can't do that, which I'm not expecting we change companies now and make them all go by abundance mindset, but I'm saying personally, in a micro level, if you try to live life in a more abundance mindset way, where you try to see of growing wealth, not your status, it's very likely that you become wealthy, and eventually you'll find the thing that you really wanted. Which everyone wants, to be financially wealthy. They want to be healthy, and they want to be happy. I wouldn't
say everyone. I mean, yeah, money would be nice, but I don't need money to be happy.
Right.
The mindset you're speaking is very materialistic focused, which is understandable. It's how the world works today. But some people find money or wealth or status isn't everything. Some people just want, I don't know, peace. They want happiness. Those are cliche answers, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that some people don't want just that, and I get it. Wealth usually does help with those things. But I think I brought up the problems, and you said that if we fix those now, everything would be good. But those are huge systemic problems. And another thing, you said that if people change their mentality to an abundance mindset over a status mindset, things would be better. But that's changing people's views, which is an entirely different problem, You'd have to start creating your own propaganda to go against theirs to try to change people's views. It's not changing a company's view, it's changing people's views, because companies are made up of people. The people who run it are just like you and me. But I think it's definitely an interesting thing you brought up. I definitely enjoyed hearing about it. I, of course, had my objections, but I still agreed with parts of it, of course. I just wanted to play, not really devil's advocate, but like just the opposition.
Yeah.
Because it's always good to have the opposite side in a argument, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
If it was just the two of us saying the same things like we were during the cop stuff earlier, it'd probably have gotten a bit boring. Whoa, I've got some hard deja vu. I don't know why. Anyways.
But yeah, my only thing is it's a more of a personal philosophy kind of way. I can't say it works. I can't say like when I think about this, it works perfectly well as a macro level, but that requires a lot of human spirit and change, collective, a lot of human spirit, a lot of human collective action that we all wanted. Like everyone would have to come now and agree that this is matters. And I will want to say one more thing: the wealthy part, you're right about. Not everyone cares about like, oh, I want to have a lot of money, but I am of the opinion that everyone wants to have enough money where they can feel stable to focus on the thing that they want, and that's the real thing I care about when I meant by wealthy. Not so much like I have $1 million, but more I have enough money where money's not my main issue anymore.
Yeah, because I also want to bring up if like everyone's wealthy, how I thought about it, which is like everyone has like $1 million. I'm like, well, then no one's wealthy because money doesn't mean anything. Yeah,
definitely. I thought we're in like a Bolivia or Venezuela situation.
Yeah,
or the Weimar Republic of Germany.
Wasn't it Weimar?
Was it Weimar? Oh, it was Weimar. Yeah, it was probably Weimar.
I think it was Weimar. I don't know. Yeah. I took history class like 2 years ago.
So yeah, and this was also like
trying to date a girl at the time. So go ahead.
You found a date a girl?
No. Like during my history class, like 2 years ago, and 3 years ago at this point, during sophomore year, I was too busy trying to date a girl at the time, so I didn't pay a huge amount of attention. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. There's one more thing I wanted to say before I move on to the last part. I do want to talk about one thing that I had with my YouTube channel that I'm going to try to make. I'm going to try to make a YouTube channel, and I will admit that I am kind of nervous about it, and I want to kind of like draw attention to that nervousness. It's kind of like this feeling that I was listening to a video, and it was talking about this book called The War of Art, and the basic idea of that book is that whenever you try to create something or do anything, whether it's just going to the gym, creating a podcast or anything, there was always that kind of physical wince or that kind of mental that you get that you don't want to just start, which I like to call inertia, but the book calls it resistance. And I say inertia because it's the amount of force you have to push in order to get an action in motion. So what I mean by this is that kind of feeling where you don't want to do something, but you know it's going to be beneficial for you. Like, say you're playing Minecraft, and you know that today is, you have to go to the gym. You're supposed to do leg day, and you know you don't want to do leg day, but it's important. And you have that kind of feeling where it's that kind of rationalization that happens where you're trying to say, well, I went to the gym before, and I've been working out pretty consistently now, so I think I've been doing great. Or even just with your homework, like, oh, I've had a long day today. I just gotta go around and take a break and let this happen. It was that feeling that I call inertia that really, when I look back, has kind of influenced a lot of my productivity and how I've gotten a lot of things done. Because that also hurts me in my podcasting, because it's not so much when I'm in podcasting that hurts, it's getting to the point of actually opening up Audacity and editing and getting music. That's the hard part.
Like yesterday, for example, we're recording this on Sunday. We're supposed to record on Saturday, but I'm like, bro, I'm just too tired right now, and I just want to keep playing Minecraft. And he's like, okay, we'll record tomorrow then, and I'm like, thanks, because I just didn't want to be fucked with trying to do a podcast that night. I mean, I just been like relaxing all day and just like hanging out with my parents and brother and just having a fun Saturday, and I was like, a podcast would be like kind of stressful to start up. Like, I know it's fun, but it's also like a lot, like I'm thinking a lot more than usual instead of just being here playing Minecraft. I'm thinking about what are the ramifications of police violence in America. It's a big difference. So I get where you're coming from.
I think the biggest thing to help that is what I've always been trying to tout out in the podcast is just building habits and systems, where the idea of these habits and systems is not so much about does it make it easier, but it's more about it automates a lot of the brain thinking to like, oh, I have to now do this. it basically cuts that resistance in half, because if, for example, you want to get up early on time, I could be, nice to myself and have my phone next to my bed, and, when I wake up, just turn off the alarm. Or I can be real with myself and say, I am going to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm going to put the phone at the furthest place possible from my bed in my room, so that way I have to get up, walk across, move it from the drawer or whatever, and then turn off the alarm for me to get up and get going. By the time I'm up on my feet, I'm like, well, I have to go to school anyway, so it's basically cutting that inertia in half, so that way you can start it like an enzyme. It cuts the activation energy. And that's why I see like habits and formatting these automated systems is the enzyme that is the catalyst to starting your day or whatever action you need to do. So I'm trying to find this kind of way, especially now because I'm trying to make a YouTube channel. Not so much about like getting that YouTube fame, but the main reason for this is because, well, two things happen. I had a bout of inspiration, and whenever this kind of inspiration happens, I've learned very much in the past is better for me to just follow on top of it and get consistent to following that inspiration to just get it done. But I wanted to do this for that inspiration, and I noticed that if I wanted to grow anywhere as a developer and as my creative professional, because I kind of realized that my job is more of a creative profession than like, oh, I'm just here to type in commands.
Yeah.
I'm here to solve problems, or I'm here to create some art. That I have to kind of get my name out there and kind of build a reputation, because I noticed that I'm kind of limited to who I am and where I am on campus, that the market that I'm in is very small despite the size that there is. Like, I have 70k people that are at my campus that are just students, not accounting for faculty and staff. But even then, I still have a hard time trying to find work. So I got to the point where I realized after listening to Naval that the thing about the internet is that it allows people to be completely original and creative, because there's always a market for people like yourself.
Sorry.
Salud. So basically, what this means is that because of the internet, you can be yourself and completely original, because that's the one thing you have against anyone else. Because they can't take that away from you. Like, you can try your hardest, but you can never have one person that's exactly the same. And I think my experience is kind of unique enough where I can use it as a framework for helping other people in my situation. Like, sure, I'm a person of color. First time in college, going into web development, and has their first job. I've freelanced and done this kind of stuff, and I even did other things like early college and
youth in government.
Youth in government, public speaking, and also my interests as well, that kind of create a really unique person. That there's so many things about me that people could latch onto and kind of roll with, that I feel like there's potential in that. And I felt like just being myself and putting it online would be a great way for me to do it in a controlled way, because although this is something that would be nice, I'm also very conscious about my privacy, and that's another dimension that people can look onto. But I thought it'd be good just because it helps me get out of this funk I've been feeling, because I feel like I haven't been producing enough. And my biggest thing is I didn't want to get to the point where I feel like I'm not doing anything when I'm off the clock, because that's not good, or I'm not in class. I know there's a lot of things that are on my plate, and I'm trying not to get to the point where I'm overdoing it, because I had that problem before and I'm not going to just redo it again. But if I'm going to overdo things, I'd rather be things that I want to do than things that I have to do. So that's why I wanted to do this. And it's not going to take a lot of time out of my schedule. It's just recording myself, and then the hard part's editing it. But
yeah, honestly, yeah.
But just sitting down to talk to the camera and just like detailing my experiences, hopefully people will enjoy that. And my biggest reason I'm putting this on the podcast is that way people can keep me accountable to it and just like call me out like, hey, when's the new video? But
I definitely will. I want to say a few things about that. So I think one of the reasons you're doing it that you didn't mention is I think you have a problem with taking free time. Like, you'll be sitting there playing a game, you'll probably be like, man, I could be doing something else right now. I could be studying for the exam next week. Well, for other people, like me, I'll be like, bro, the exam's next week. I don't have to study for it. Like, I've studied like a little bit today for an exam I have tomorrow. But I have an hour and a half between my first class and my second one. My second one is the one exam. So I'm just going to head over to the library and just cram study, like, quickly. Because I think, I pay attention in class. I take notes and stuff like that. And I've already looked over them a little bit. But another reason I think you might be doing this is because from what I've been talking to you about, privately over Discord and such, you're going through the, like, bit in your life where you're trying to figure out who you really are. As a person. So I think this YouTube channel will help you try to come to grips with that, because, like, we're both introverts, and we have problems, I think, expressing our true selves to other people on a regular basis. But when you're talking to a camera, it's a lot more detached. Like, I can be my true self right now, even though hundreds of people might hear this. It's not the same, my brain doesn't think about that. So I think having that outlet, other than the podcast, of course, because you might even be different, like, around me, what's it called? So I think having that outlet will be very good for you. It's definitely expressing your thoughts in that way. I think it'll help you come to learn more about yourself along the journey.
That's a real my goal of mine, or at least, like, not so much a goal, but I hope as a side effect that will happen. It'll happen with that. But in the end, I also wanted to just be like a repository of my thoughts, because I notice I'm one of the very few people that record themselves or have, like, documentation of myself. And a thought came across my mind thinking, when I become older and people have videos about themselves when they're younger, that they can always look back to whenever they have their eventual, like, this, what is it called, dementia, to help them remember themselves. I probably won't
have that, but
so
I mean, you do have the podcast. You could listen to that.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's true.
I mean,
so
like,
I am doing something.
Yeah, that's like you're talking about, like, an outlet. That's kind of what the podcast is for me. I mean, I get to talk to you, which we've always had conversations like this. It's always a good outlet for me. But also just saying the stuff, like, I've thought about, like, other people hear my words I say, like, they're important not just to me and you, but to the listeners as well. Like, I like to express how I feel because it might change how other people feel. And, like, in the future, when I'm like 20 years from now, I might come back and listen to the Tangent podcast to see how I was or how I've changed since then. So it's always an interesting thought.
Definitely. One more thing before I move on. I would say that I hope this helps other people, because there's a lot of things I noticed that I think I got lucky that I knew, but I hope this helps other people with advice, because I can always just refer to this, and hopefully other people will take some note and help themselves in their lives. But I do want to say I do understand about the whole thing about my free time. And honestly, the biggest thing I need to learn how to do is to compact my fun into something that's really high dense and enjoyable. Like, anime does that really well. But it's not as dense as, like, reading manga, because I can speed through that and enjoy it. Playing games, not RPGs as much. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but something that, like, really gives me, like, bang per minute gives me that kind of satisfaction, like when I play Minecraft sometimes. But I know what you mean. Like, I do have, like, a lot of free time that I don't know what to do with sometimes.
Just enjoy it.
I feel like I should, but I also feel that my angst has gotten me to the point where I am today.
So you're a bit neurotic, is what you're saying.
Maybe. I might be a bit neurotic. I'm just more worried. My biggest thing is, I guess because I haven't had a lot of stability over the year, that I'm very much of the opinion where anything that I have right now could easily go away.
Yeah.
So I am trying to set up myself to a point where, if, say, I lost my job, then I can at least bounce back pretty fast or have something to fall back on really quickly. I'm not saying the YouTube channel would be something I could rely on, because let's be honest, I'm not making money off of it.
Yeah, especially when that's what I expect you to talk about. You're definitely going to be demonetized.
I'm not expecting anything. Yeah. My thing is, my real point with this channel is so that way people recognize my name, and when they do want to, like, meet me and they see this, they can see, oh, this is the kind of person we're working with. I would like to meet him, and I want to have that something that automatically generates not revenue but opportunities for me. So that's my channel. Huh?
You know what you should call the channel?
What's that?
Wynter's Wisdom.
I just want to make it Yjang Wynter, so that way it's not like I know what you're thinking.
I was sitting here like, what's a good no? Winter's Worries isn't a good name. Like, I can't think of anything that goes with.
I can make that a segment or like a playlist, but I think Yjang. My name is too unique for me not to pass it up.
Yeah, but if you you walk up to be like, hey, go check out the Yjang Wynter, they're gonna put in like actual John, and it's gonna be like, what the hell? There's no channel here. What are you talking about? Well, if it's Winter's Wisdom, like, oh yeah, put that in, you'll find it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely up to you. Don't let me make it for you.
Oh yeah, you're right. If anything, that will be interesting. I might make that a gamer tag for hell's sake. I should probably think about that. John.
I mean, like, that's how your name was in my phone for like all of freshman year, because I was too afraid to ask you how it was spelled, so I just assumed it was John.
I'm gonna put that actually. Let's see if I can do that. There. Oh no, my password. I'm going to change it on Discord. But anyway, that's enough for that. I want to talk about the last thing.
Yeah, plans for the winter.
My season. My rising. Finally.
Winter's the best season. It's actually cold sometimes for like a week.
I gain my power the most when I can ascend with the Buddha, because it's my time.
Heat is the absolute worst. Like, I love when it's like 60 out and I can wear jeans and a hoodie and be like, I want to wear this for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Like, I actively hate wearing shorts because I'm always afraid people like look at my like hairy ass knees and shit.
Aww.
And I'm like, don't look at me. I have to wear shorts that like go right above my knees because I'm too tall. But if I buy shorts that go bigger, they sag. I don't know what to do.
Dude, you can just be like me and just wear jeans every season.
Yeah, but I'll die.
It's a sacrifice.
I can't do it. I've tried. I just start sweating under my jeans and they stick to my legs and.
It's like that sometimes, really.
Oh, it really do be like that sometimes.
They really do. But yeah, for the winter, I do plan for sure. Let me check my calendar. Not like I planned it up to this far, but from like the 9th. Or at least definitely from like definitely for sure the 16th till New Year's, and the week after New Year's, I'm going to be there. I'm not like heading back really, because I want to be back home. I want to see my family, and at the very least, I want to be with them because they're really all I have, and I haven't been able to be close to them. It's the longest I've been away from my home and my friends or something like that. Mm-hmm. It kind of gets jarring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it helped me realize, like, oh, these are the people that really actively care about me. Like, so that's great. But like, there's also people.
I'm really looking forward to when you come back into town, you know, because we talk over the podcast stuff, but it's different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the human element that I do miss.
Yeah.
Because it feels like I'm like really the FOMO in me really hits sometimes. Mm-hmm. And also it's just like sometimes I just feel guilt for kind of being at home, like here sometimes when everyone I know back home is there. Mm-hmm. But you know, I have a lot of different things that have happened now, and I even have a new set of people that are here that I also hang out with. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing like coming back home to Jacksonville, and
yeah,
that I'm looking forward to. But I do want to play D&D. If I'm not going to be happy if I don't play D&D with you, man, because
you're going to be here from
what, for almost a year now, and I haven't.
Listen, it's going to be the best. We're probably going to do like 3 games. If you want to know the premise right now, the rough premise that I don't know if it's final yet is you all are going to be Santa's elves or like workers under Santa, and you have to try to uncover the mystery of how the presents are made and shit. It's gonna be like a mystery D&D game where you like undercover Santa's deep secrets and stuff. It's there probably won't be a huge amount of combat, but I'm gonna love writing this like horror mystery Santa theme game. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a lot of music. So yeah, it's gonna be short though. Not like I'm on like game 5 right now of my current one, and we're not even half done. So I don't even know if we'll be done by the time you get here.
Okay.
I hope so.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but
I also one thing I'm going to show you on the podcast. I probably should have mentioned this. my school has been making me do these games called Twine games, which is basically interactive fiction, and I thought I would like you to at least check this out because I think you would love it. It's basically, it's part game element, but mostly story-wise, because it feels more like a, not even visual novel, but kind of close to, you have to pick and choose your game like Walking Dead, almost. But it's really good. This one is basically your Cinderella, but instead of being like Cinderella normally, it's the French Revolution. So you're trying to basically escape with the documents. And spoiler alert, if you know the story of Cinderella, then you'll know how this ends.
Do I get my feet cut off?
No, you lose your shoe.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's that version of Cinderella, not like the Grimm's
Fairy
Tales.
Yeah, the good one.
Cinderella.
The good one. The Disney
hey,
one.
Grimm's Fairy Tales is good. You take that back.
Fine, but I definitely feel like the Disney one makes me feel happier. So
yeah, but sometimes you need something that's other than happiness to feel true to yourself. God,
fair,
that sounds edgy.
Yeah, you really are an edgelord, but hey, you're the melancholy guy. This is also pretty. It's a really nice VS novel because you get to have really great graphics. But I just want to put that there for people and also for you because I thought you would enjoy it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
hopefully we get.
Hopefully, I might make something like this. I probably will. It's basically there's only a few amount of endings you can get out of this, and there's only one true ending you can get because I thought there was a way for you to get all stealth or like find a way for you to get all stealth, but I haven't figured it out yet. So if you do, then let me know.
Oh look. But now it's my turn to talk about my Wynter. And I, just like I usually do, what am I, fucking Homer Simpson? Homie! Sorry, me and my brother love doing Marge Simpson impressions. It's just something we do. Anyways. Homie! Homer! You need to come home right now, Homer! I've only watched like 8 episodes of The Simpsons. Anyways, my Wynter is I plan to hang out with you, run D&D games, and just play whatever game I have on the Switch probably. But also I've thought about going back and I wrote this. It was kind of like a fan fiction essentially. Back when I was in like 6th grade for the Fallout universe. Mm-hmm. It was about like the backstory of the main character of Fallout New Vegas, the courier. And I did it for my English class. It was like write a 10-page story or write 10 poems. And like literally every other kid wrote 10 poems instead. But I wrote the 10-page story. And the teacher just loved it because, you know, I had a thesaurus open and just chose whatever big words I could choose. But I actually really did enjoy writing that story. Even though it's based on someone else's work, I've thought about going back and trying to, you know, clean it up and making it into a better short story. So I think I might do that over the winter because I really do enjoy writing, you know, for D&D, but also just for the sake of it. You know, it's very fun to me. So yeah, that's all I really had to say. I hope you enjoyed this podcast of police corruption, the civil rights movement, Joe Rogan, and what I forgot the guy's name.
Naval.
Yjang's conference, the shitty hurricane that was Dorian, and cool plans for the winter. Those that's quite the jump at the end from the other topics, which are pretty dark. So
yeah,
I don't know what we're gonna title this. Like the serious episode? No, we're gonna title
Dark to Light.
I was thinking the no anime episode.
Yes,
because
no
we
anime
didn't talk
allowed.
about it.
No anime allowed. We're gonna put the penguins meme.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm gonna get that image.
We did it. We broke the cycle. We
Take
broke
that,
the cycle. We finally ascended. I think I'm almost certain we did not talk about anime. We did not go into.
I'm like 99% sure.
Jeez, we did it.
So
sorry, that's
boys.
the cover. That's the cover right there.
Anyhow, thanks for coming to the Tangent Podcast. I hope you're enjoying the music of whoever edits this one. Just be ready because it might take a while to come out because we're busy.
Yeah.
But hey, hope you're still enjoying the podcast. Make sure to tune in next time, probably within 2 weeks to 1 month, depending.
Yeah, it'll come out in like 2 to 3 years.
It'll come out when it comes out.
Yeah, you're not our boss.
Yeah, fuck you. But hey, if you want to be our boss, go to patreon.com/Tangent Podcast and pay us money to work faster.
Yeah, we
also,
don't know.
Follow us on Twitter or something.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. Follow me, Yjang Wynter, YJANGWYNTR, and follow T Krogan, TKRO.
I just repost shitty memes. Don't worry.
And I barely post anything because
I went to your profile the other day and you hadn't done like anything.
Yeah, I probably should just install the Twitter app and just make updates.
That's what I did. Anyway,
that would help.
Here's one of the memes I retweeted. Make sure to put your sound on.
Oh, my sound's.
Just imagine opening Twitter.
My
and the
ears.
First thing you see.
My ears. That's ear rape.
That's why I retweeted it, because I want anyone who goes to my
I should have saw the thing that says volume warning. No.
Yeah, it's not much of a help.
God.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I should make the end song. It's gonna be this. Because I just
No, you're terrible.
On my Twitter. No, it's gonna be this. It's September.
Okay.
We gotta play September.
Okay, I will. As long as it's September. No YTP of it.
I can't hear you. Don't talk to me. My brother's trying to talk to me, but I can't hear him because I'm listening to the best song known to man, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
It's really good.
It'll be September by the time I post this. I have to complete it within 2 weeks.
Do you remember?
Anyhow, thanks for coming to Tangent Podcast. Hope you're enjoying September, even if it's not September anymore. But hey, do you remember the 21st night of September? You were probably alone at home eating ramen noodles watching Netflix. See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Party on. Say that you remember. Party on. This is September. Party on. Never was a cloudy day. Bye. Bye. Bruh.